Welcome, everybody, and happy Friday. If you're out there and you can hear me, let me know. I'm doing something a little bit different, and audio is usually my big issue. So throw out there in the chat if you can hear me. That would be helpful. And yes, Bob, you were the first one in, so you get the virtual cookie. And again, that's right now. That's the only intro with the countdown clock I have because I'm on the free plan for Restream, and so they only offer up one thing I can use. I could change that picture or that animation, but none of the other animations are any fun at all. So that one at least gets us in the right direction. So who do we have in here tonight? We have PK and ModelWorks Bob, welcome in. Almar, welcome. James from Dundas Junction, welcome in. Passing by you, nice to see you. Mom, welcome. Who else do we have? Bill, welcome in. Thank you for the all good. Deep Run Mike, welcome. Brad, welcome. You continue to amaze me with your work on your layout, your module. So everybody check him out if you haven't before. He's doing some great work. CSC Schulte, welcome in. All right, so I threw this up there as a thumbnail. I'm behind on NMRA magazines. I'm trying to catch up on those. And there was a mention in, I think it was the February article about the calendar, which everybody loves the calendar. It's a way for members to show off their work. They pick the best of the best usually. And they always pick scenes. They don't really have static models for that, which I wish they did for some things. There are some great static models out there that will get missed in something like that. But they talked about AI. And so it made me think about all of the arguments we have with each other. And I just picked up picked a few for the thumbnail. Do we like steam? Do we like diesel? Is DC the way to go, or is DCC the best route? Is the hobby dying? We talk about that incessantly. I don't love talking about that because it isn't. There's no evidence that it is, and I think we need to get over that argument. And then the other one that's come up on this stream a couple times as well is 3D printing really a tool? Is it part of the hobby, and so on? So just thought I'd throw in a picture of a X-Acto knife being built on a 3D printer, and so this whole image, this was all designed by AI. There's many AI programs out there for this one. I use Gemini, which is Google's, but I thought it was apropos. And basically what they were saying in the article is they weren't going to accept AI images. They didn't really, they talked about 3D printing being accepted. They also talked about the use of like print photo programs like that you may use to enhance photographs. And they also, did I miss Montana Northern? Yes, I did. Welcome in, Montana Northern. Awesome to have you in here. They talk about it has to be done with your hands, and I thought about photographs. Photographs aren't naturally photographing your models. Photographs aren't native. You never have native photographs as the final result. You may use filters on when you take the picture. You may take your model or your display outside to get natural light. Then you come in and you use something like Photoshop to enhance or replace things or move things around a little bit to make it a more cohesive scene. To me, those are tools for your photograph, and we all use them, and they've been used forever, and they're used on all of the accepted photographs. I get that we don't want to accept AI generated pictures like the one I did, because there was no model made. So that I get, but to eliminate all AI usage, I think is a little short-sighted. They even say in there that maybe you think we're dinosaurs or something. I don't think they are. The ones that are editing the calendar, what they accept or everything. So there are some legitimate arguments if you're talking about an actual if you generate a total AI photograph versus photographing and enhancing your photograph with AI. Hey, Rick, welcome in. Love the progress on your build. I like the green color. It comes out well on camera. I hope it looks really nice in person. So when it's on your layout, that green comes through. So anyway, it kind of set me off a little bit, and that's what I'm trying not to rant. I'm trying to explain it coherently and make an argument for AI can be used to enhance things, just like Photoshop can be used to enhance things. So you may not have Photoshop, but you have AI available, and maybe you do some things, and you can tell it to do things like put filters on, and you can alter the photograph. So anyway, so that's what brought the theme tonight. So if anybody else has rants, happy to hear them. But let's otherwise get started with some of my other updates. I have a new boo-boo. This was not a model railroading boo-boo. This was a dogs being wild and self-injury, basically. But so I know I showed you I actually worked on the diner on the last on the Gopher Girl, welcome in. It's about time you got in here. We're already partying. You probably should be throwing some people out. So there are a number of people that do both DC and DCC. C.S. Schultz. And I just started with DCC, or I had. Well, no, that's not true. The first train set I got was an N-scale train set, Santa Fe, and 3 passenger cars, and it was DC. So I started with that, but I was immediately going to a DCC, and back then I had a book from Atlas on wiring, and so I did all my wires according to them, and they had an early the DCC command station. I got that, wired it up, it worked. Then something wasn't working, so I rewired it. I took it off and tried to figure everything out. I rewired it wrong and fried the thing. It was a really cool, neat, and a really neat little unit, but I fried it before I could really use it. Is the t-shirt available in real life? No, Bob, not yet. I do have like 2 stores, but only 2 people have ordered things from one of the stores. No, I ordered, so it was myself. I ordered from both stores. I ordered mugs. And I have a Redbubble store and a Spring store. And I ordered t-shirts from the Spring store and from the Redbubble store. I'm actually disappointed in the products from the Redbubble store, but and the Spring store ones were much better. But I've had those for years. The only other one to buy anything was my mom, who bought a mug from the Spring store. So I haven't designed anything, but I probably should, because I throw that hashtag on everything, and that's kind of my motto, is to just jump in. So as I was saying, on this is the side with the door on the diner, and when I pulled the tape off and everything, there's just a little bit of bleed. I'm still working on my taping abilities, and I have another thing I'll show in a bit where I really screwed up the taping, I guess, and so there was bleed, and I'll have to fix those things. But that was what we worked on, and so this has to be redone here and then on the edges here. But I'm still really liking the color. And then and I don't remember if I showed this, but I decided to put that pink on the roof as well, on the edge of the roof, so I don't have to paint these small slots. And then and so it looks like that. So it's going to look nice. Let's see here. And then I still, because I didn't, because I messed that one up a little bit and haven't gone back to it, I still haven't gone back to finish this one. Once I fix that one and I take care of this one, we can go into the build. And I know I'm going to regret saying it now, but the build shouldn't take that long to get done. So one of the things I really like is there's this back kitchen, and show you what it looks like on camera here. So this one was fun to do. I didn't want to go with traditional brick color, so I went with lighter stuff. I have another build that I'm doing that has what is it called? What is it called? It is buff, so like a natural buff color. Yeah, deep red mic, and I think my argument is more of the dinosaur piece. Not calling them dinosaurs. I know one of the guys, and he's not. He's a fantastic modeler. He knows what he's doing. He'll be able to tell, I'm sure, if there's AI usage in them. I'm just saying that AI is another tool out there. I know that, new tools can be scary sometimes for people to use or to adapt, but we all do. I don't know when the X-Acto knife came out, but I'm wondering if X-Acto knives were the first knives out there to use, or were they accepted along the way? I'm sure we went from sanding blocks and sandpaper to sanding discs that a lot of people use. So it's just a matter of tools, and it takes work to and I well I did on the stream. I did a picture for a previous thumbnail where I took the um, line side structure made from the freight car, and I didn't have my layout finished, but it was on my layout. So I used AI to enhance that picture, which was just a dusty layout you could see the board underneath, and it was just undone. And so I used AI to enhance that. I didn't create that model in AI. So I agree with, we don't want, unless they have a category where they accept pictures of AI, but the idea is to show off your models that you made. So, so I agree with, you still need a picture of the model, but I don't agree with not using AI at all. I think it is exactly the same thing as Photoshop, Lightroom, any of those other programs, that using a filter for color, changing the lighting, all of that. So that's just my argument on that one. I had an initial reaction that was a worse reaction, but I thought about it a little bit more. And came to the conclusion that there's some things that they said that was right there. So I like the calendars, Bob, for the photos. So yes, we can get those photos everywhere else. We can get the work everywhere else, but that's just as inspiring to me as seeing an article on them or seeing a video done on YouTube. So I don't mind those. The labels I kind of like because I'm a little old school, but I can understand that those aren't as necessary anymore. But and no, I don't hang my calendars. I actually can't tell you where the calendars are that I have, and I should have like 5 or 6 of them. But when I got them, they were inspiring to me, and so I do like those. So the diner is a City Classics. It's not. You can see all of the mold marks from the injection molding. It is not a 3D printed model. It certainly could fit on a 3D printer, but it's not. It is not. So here you can see the mold marks in there as well. Yeah, I appreciate that. I had fun doing this, and giving it that different color and using different, just different ways of doing it. And if you feel this at the edge of it with all this paint on, if I don't break it, it doesn't even feel like plastic on the side. If this side does, but it came out pretty good. My parents used to get me Ansel Adams calendars every year. Growing up, I loved doing landscape photography, and his stuff was some of my favorite stuff. And they would get me a calendar every year. And when I was in college, I would take the photo out of the calendar and I would mount it on just cardboard and have it just pop off the wall that way and just hang it on the wall. I used to love those. Haven't done that in forever. I grew up and have frames now on stuff. So and we still use the scalpels and razor blades. I keep a set of razor blades here all the time, to right by my side there. I'm a little afraid to use a scalpel. Although I've only cut myself, I think now I've cut myself twice now. Once really bad where I had to go to the emergency room. But it took 15 years of the hobby for me to do that. But scalpels scare me a little bit because they seem to be sharper. That's cool, Montana Northern. We use at work, we use AI a lot now. It's kind of part of what we sell to our clients, but we also use it internally. I used it one time for the audio for one of my videos. I tried it out and to get a different voice than I was using. So, all right. So the thing I am working on this week, and I'm putting a video together. PK Modelworks Bob is in the chat. He is he's producing some 3D printed kits, and he sent me one to build. We've talked about it on the previous live streams. Let's see here if I can share this. So this is what he sent me, and so I'm doing a build for him. I'm going to send him some, since this is something that I'm not sure that he doesn't have out yet, I believe. And he's just trying to tweak and finish it up. From a model perspective, it's really good. It's really easy build to do. It's a great addition to any layout. It fills some space and tells a story. It'll tell you a story about the time of the place and, the atmosphere of the place as well. If people are needing ice all the time and everything. So I've started this build. And I've gone through the instructions, and I've got some notes that I'm going to send. But I can tell you that all of the instructions are accurate and have all the steps, or no missing steps or anything like that. And it's a fun build to do. This is unfortunately my own issues with taping for paint jobs got in the way on this one. But let's take a look at the mess that I have here. Sorry, my chat just wants to go up, down, and all the way around. So let's go. My goodness, have I forgotten how? Not what I want to do. I've forgotten how to do things. All right. So the basics of this building are 6 pieces. So you have 4 walls and 2 top and a bottom. The top and the bottom have, don't know if you're going to be able to see inside there. You can see just a little bit of an edge there. There's a ledge all the way around on here. So it's easy to glue the pieces in, pieces in place the way they should go. The 2 ends are dominant, and then the sides fit between them. And you basically glue the 4 sides together and then glue the top on, and you've done all of the major work. So it's not something that takes very long. You can decide. What I decided to do is get as close as possible to how Bob suggested for the painting. And so that was the next step of this piece. And I airbrushed, so I did a lot of taping. Yep, there's no photographer out there, Bob, that wouldn't use photo manipulation, down to even before you had Photoshop, and when things were being developed in a dark room, and there are techniques they used in the dark room to develop the photos the way they wanted, in a different way than the photo was taken. Filters were the main thing that started with the alteration of photographs. So yeah, I mean, it's been around forever. So yeah, if you can find this building, you know, anywhere really. You If you look on the interwebs, you can find the building. Um, the other parts to it are really kind of um, just there's just two other main parts. So this is the central air conditioning unit, and it's I should show you on camera. Maybe it's beveled. It'll simply sit in here. It just needs to go in just a little bit, and it'll have a little lip there, and you just glue that in. I'm using Bob's suggestion on this, using super glue. So I can't do that on camera, unfortunately, because I have allergies to super glue. So I got to use one of these, and I got to get the window open, and there are all kinds of distractions outside and stuff. I had to kind of stop and start and stop and start. So, and then the other air conditioning units are 3 pieces. And so they'll essentially go something along these lines on the back edge. Of course, they're not glued, so I'm balancing them on here, but they'll go on there, and I'll show all of that. Then the other final detailing steps. Did I glue this totally together? Oh, there it is. Very generously with this kit is to have decals, and I'm interested to see how the decals will do with the 3D print. So if I didn't say that, this is a 3D printed kit, but he has all the sides that are needed, decals, and then he has he gave extra air conditioner vents to be added to the different pieces. So I'll do that. And then he's got paper awnings, and you can choose your poison with these paper awnings to come up with that. So tips so far that I can give on this. So which part are you seeing that broke, Bob? Because I actually took, unless I cut something incorrectly, or something may be coming through from the painting. Also, you sometimes can see more things painting, but let me know what you're seeing there. Yeah, Brad, good masking is the key. Poor masking is a pain in the you know what. So I will do something to fix those. I struggled with whether was I going to paint the door or not, so I just painted I used primer, so so it has primer on it, but I just gave a little silver to or aluminum look to the door knob on there. But overall, just a really simple kit, and it's going to look real good on any layout, like I said, and it's going to give you some time and place. So really, really good start with this. You know, James, a lot of people like the Revell glue. I've never tried it myself, but I hear good things about it. And they also, I do like I like the long tube. I think I had a tester's glue that had that long tube and that same Revell bottle, but it was a tube instead of like a metal. Instead of like the metal thin tube, it was a plastic tube, and it would gunk up at the end. You'd still have to cut it down further to open it up a little. But yes, I hear good things about that as well. But as I was saying, because of my allergy, I couldn't talk. I mean, I could talk in the mask, but it would be like I was underwater and I'd have to have the window open. There'd be all kinds of distractions. But it's really just gluing that together, gluing the other AC unit together. Then it'll be the decals. So, yeah. And I know this from 3D printing, and Bob puts this in the instructions. He really recommends sanding the parts, and I do too. While when you do a CAD drawing, everything is perfect in the CAD drawing, but when you're melting plastic, melting something, it's not going to always be perfect. So Bob, that might have been me who did that, and not you potentially, if I'm thinking about it. So okay, so you can butt joint the rack to match the feet left on the bottom of the AC unit. So if I'm understand, hey Randy, welcome in. So are we talking about this one here, the thin unit? Assuming that would go something like that. Hey Ken. Yeah, Ken, it is a neat kit. It obviously this is taking me longer because I got other things going on. But really, when you're using AC, one thing I've learned is, it's always good, even though AC grabs AC CA grabs and stays, I still I'm learning the patience thing and letting things cure over time. But I did use Kicker, so I use Bob Smith Industries odorless. So it's called their Super Gold. It's odorless. Even with it being odorless, I still have problems with it. So that's why I have to use the mask. However, it takes a few seconds to dry. So you have to hold things in place a little bit longer. I usually count to 10. I count to 20 usually, and you probably don't have to, but I count to 20. I also use, if there's a need, I'll use their kicker or their Insta set, which is their kicker, and I throw it in this little bottle that I got from the dollar store. And that's my gibberish that says Insta set on it, because if you buy, they sell it in a spray bottle, and that's what I use, but it gets all over everything. It's a wide enough spray. Okay, Bob. Yeah. I got you. It might have not been together when I got it. I can't remember now. I'll see if I took a picture of it beforehand so I can eye it and everything. But so the spray was a mess, and it gums up the glue, and so it's visible. And I had this on one of my models that was being evaluated for 8 pieces for merit, and so that was very nerve-wracking. So it wasn't my idea. I found it from somebody else, and they put it in a little bottle like this. And so since I've done that, I can get a drop or two out, and it solidifies the glue right away and doesn't make a big mess. And so then I just got a big bottle, so I always have it. This will last me forever, or until it doesn't work anymore. So if you, I mean, Dollar Tree, you get like, I think I got 4 bottles for $1.25, $1.50, whatever it was when I got it. But there were 4 bottles in there, and so very good buy. So this is not just a thin CA. I'm guessing it's a little bit thicker, and I'm not sure what properties they do or what they do to make it odorless. But they definitely highlight that it's not the same as their other CA glues. So that's why I think it says 3 to 5 seconds, but I've found stuff moves, and when I've glued it down and when I've used a lot of glue, it's a little bit longer than that, but it's pretty instantaneous. It's not a big deal. When you have a flat side like this one or this one, it can be easy to get them together and square them up. When you have sides with other items on here, it's a little harder to do that, because like this has a ledge on it, so it doesn't square up exactly, and then it obviously has things protruding out. But from if you like to build things and you like to customize them, and it fits your layout, this definitely would work. And it doesn't have a huge footprint, so that it's not going to take up a full building size. And so you can get it in the right area. And he'll have the pictures I showed you. He'll have those pictures in there, so you'll have a clear view of the intent and how it was built and everything. He has a picture actually of one that must have street parking right by it, because it has a bunch of yellow painted poles protecting the building. So I thought that was interesting, wherever that location was. So yeah, the other thing with this, and I'm just a messy person as it is. Speaking of which, I'm moving them out of the way. And you might be able to see kind of glue that's been solid on there. Speaking of 3D printing, the top to this is long gone because it got glued on, and I already have to replace this. You can see how glue comes up in there and solidifies. So I print these, 5 at a time or so, and they fit these bottles. They fit lower, but because this is already gummed up, and I think that's the last. Is that the last one I have for now? I think I have to. Yep, I believe I have to print a bunch more, but the idea is to keep it pretty fresh there and not have any issues with it. So, yep, they are all over the place. Right now, if you are somebody that follows social media and have all those shorts and reels and all those things, there's a couple of them out there of people trying to fool people how the ice comes out, fool their kids about how the ice comes out of these. So they're still around. So yeah. So we'll get to work on fixing this up and then gluing the parts on, and I'll get some of my notes back to Bob, and I'm using, by the way, I love the swag. Sent I already have his business card. I had his business card, but I just showed you, sent another one. And one of the things that my board that has stickers is pretty barren right now. It needs stickers, so this one's a really nice one. I really like this and how it was cut out with the lettering. It's a really neat one. I have my own, so contact me if you want one for your collection, and I will get it to you. Look, Bob, even in Minnesota when it's 20 below zero and all that, we still need our cold beverages when we're inside in the heat. Hey, Jimmy, welcome in. So desiccant has become the thing. I had there's one pill that I take all the time that when they give me the 90-day supply, they have like bottles of 30 from the manufacturer. So they just give me like 3 bottles every time. And in those bottles, it has the round desiccant container. So I've been wanting to do something with that, and I've pulled them apart, and little desiccant pieces go everywhere, but I want to take they're thin on one end, like a cap, but they look like a fan. So I was thinking I could do a load of fans and use those as the fans, because I have 1,000 of them. So don't think I have any of them out here. I do not. I'm collecting more. I'm talking about loads too. I'm collecting more. As you know, I did a flat car load with these that held doggy poop bags, and now they've gotten cheaper. So now they're cardboard, which I don't love because you have to hide the lines of the cardboard. But I've got tons of those, and so that's where I'm at. So what else is everybody working on? I've been going off about what I've been working on. So that's what I need. I need science lessons here so that I don't blow up the house. So hopefully this week I will be able to work on those two things. I'll try and finish up the diner and definitely get this moving and get this done and get Bob some notes. And like I said, it's a really super simple build. You could decide to do the other thing however you feel like doing it. You could I glued everything together of all this together, and then I painted. The other thing you could do to reduce some of the mess that I made is you could paint everything prior to gluing. A lot of people will do that. I think we all do that with wood kits. We do that a lot where we're staining everything and so you could get all that painting done so that you could do less damage to the rest of it, like I've done. So that was an idea too. My intent on this was to follow Bob's directions to make sure that everything went together the way it was supposed to and in order. So, Bill, I have a video where I detailed how I built the load for the flat car. I did a Sioux flat car. Let's see here if I can find the link quick enough. Probably not that quickly. Just look at, I can throw the link out there, but it shows how I got them prepared basically. And let's see, it's probably a while back. How is this? Wow, I've been making videos for a long time. I just saw it there. It was like 2020. I think I made it. There it is. So this is the video with my poop bag load. It's called Turning Garbage into Art. And that was a fun project to do. I just had a whole bunch of them around, and I was like, what can I do with these? They look like pipes to me. And yep, no problem, Bob. So going back to, I started to talk about sanding. So with 3D printing, CAD files are perfect, right? When you make a right angle, it's a right angle no matter what. When you whatever thickness you have for something, it's that thickness. A 3D printer, whether it's a resin printer or a filament printer, are going to get it very, very close, but you're melting plastic. You're dealing with melting things, and it's not always going to be super perfect. So one of the recommendations he has is to make sure you sand the edges of everything so they fit. And I can tell you that I did that for all of the edges. And what I was seeing was because the 3D printer prints in layers, and essentially when it's coming through the nozzle, it's a round line. And even though it's a minuscule line, it can create gaps. And so there were some gaps, and just with patience and using sandpaper, and I use 600, and I think I was fine. I didn't have to go any lighter, or 320. This I got from Amazon. There are many versions of it. I got this one because Adam Savage of Tested is his YouTube channel and business, but also of Mythbusters fame, had recommended and used this. So I used 320 on here. I didn't want to, I was going to start with a harder grit, thinking that 3D printing plastic, even PLA, is a harder plastic than, say, styrene. But I wanted to go lighter on it. So a lighter grit, and also just very slowly and checking after a stroke or two to ensure that you get, a really tight fit like this. It's hard to see. You can see it in the glare. See if you can see it there. You can see it there. But to get that kind of fit, you're likely going to have to sand it. And it's not I wouldn't call it, it's not an issue with the model. It's not an issue with the design of the model. It's an issue with the manufacturing process that is unavoidable to an extent. And we get fine, we can work with, when we're putting together a 3D print, getting the lines to work the way you want them. That takes a lot of practice and a lot of trial and error to get it right. So, but Bob did, and just took a little bit of sanding. It didn't take long at all. I let one edge dry, and it's this edge here. And you can't even see it from far away. You can see it there. I let that dry, and I didn't have enough pressure on it. So that wasn't a manufacturing issue, but I have a little gap there that can be solved with maybe some putty. But you can see here on this side, it's solid. You almost can't see the lines, so everything fit the way it was supposed to. It came together very easily. So good job, Bob. Made a chimney out of one. Okay. All right. Are you and Bill, you're S scale, right? So did they scale well for that, or was it just visually it still worked? Or from a load perspective, it worked well for me. I don't know if these were exactly HO scale pipes, but it worked for that. So I have not been able to. I haven't been very good with designs. The program I use doesn't have a lot of fluidity with the designs, and so I haven't been brave enough to do some of those things like joints and things. I did some fake joints, and you have to look very close at them. Let's see if I can get them on camera here. See if that's too grainy, I think, maybe. But those are essentially fake joints because I printed it all as one. If I printed them as separate parts, then I could use that as joints potentially, if they'll print out. The problem here is if I use them separately, then you have supports, and supports can overpower that. But that was the look I was going for, because those are separate pieces normally. Obviously, this is not a separate piece. And so that you can see, this is one of the versions that I did of a gondola that I designed. The bottom part is based off of the Lone Star Region Clinic on flat cars. The flat car I built out of styrene originally. And what I wanted to do is build this as one piece. And I found that to get the detail was terrible on the bottom here, because those are raised up supports and cross beams. So I ended up breaking this into parts. So you had the flat car bottom, you have a piece in here, which is what you see here, and I'll show you an independent piece, and then the walls are around the side. So here's that bottom piece again, printed on its own, and then this is it glued together on here. So you can see, unfortunately, you can see kind of a gap there from my gluing job and from the printing. So these they're not supports, I guess they're called supports, but those are printed over top, and then this fits in there. But anyway, so anyway, going back to just thinking about the grooves in there as well. And as you know, I'm both 3D printing and building in styrene the coil car. So working on that, but that's taken a back seat so that I could work on this guy. And the diner was filler. That was some of the guilty pleasure stuff that I got from my trip to Chicago land. So yep, I was seeing that with the communications tower, Brad. So, yep. Hey, Brad, has your brother been doing his Operation live streams lately? Maybe I'm not seeing the notifications, but I haven't seen them in a while, and that might be on me. So, Bob, are you in a funk, or you just been working on your what do you call them, the oil drum legs and your layout? You've been working on that more than models, I would assume. So yeah, I haven't gotten one of the truck tuners. What I do though is I misunderstood size when it came to, and have what you will with that, graphite powder. And I have this gigantic graphite powder that will last me and several generations of model railroaders after me. But I do put graphite powder in the wells where you put the wheels of all my trucks, just to add some help to them, just in case. I found somebody who, as part of a full car that they built, built trucks that looked really realistic to me and fit most of the cars that I've done. So they're not specific to they're 100-ton trucks as far as I would know that they're modeled, but they print out perfectly every time. They work really well. Wheels spin in them really well. I just add the graphite in there. I never have a problem with these. I do have a problem with the screw size for these, because the lip is in there is rather big. I don't know if you can see that, It's a very small lip on this side. So the little black screws kind of fall through, but the other ones that have the kind of the oval head work fine with them. And so I really don't have problems with them. Here are the trucks on this one are the 3D printed trucks. Now, I have other issues with this car that I'll have to work on, where this needs room to move, and that's all because of the wiring I did on here, not anything else. And this will only go through a certain radii with this, so the trucks may have to be lowered down a little bit potentially. The other thing I could try to do is this is a millimeter. I could maybe do a 0.5 millimeter around. I think that's a millimeter, unless I was doing these in inches. Sorry, it's 2 millimeters. So maybe I could drop it down to a millimeter to give it more room for the car to move. But I have all kinds of braking stuff in here, brake lines and stuff that I was trying to put together in here and see if I could do. All of the holes in here are predefined when I printed them and everything. So yeah. I'm all over the place with the comments. Sorry about that. There's lots of comments. So why isn't he? Why aren't we seeing him rebuild the layout? Is he, or again, am I missing videos that he's doing? Because I don't recall seeing a video. I only recall seeing his lives. But his lives get pretty late for me. But I do enjoy them because he talks us through everything that he's doing, and it's really good. So Randy, the grandparents aren't allowed in the house at night. Are you banned from the house? I mean, I know you love camping, but sounds like you're being your kids are being mean to you or something. So thanks, Bob. I appreciate the kind words about the car. I'm actually when I do finish this, it's going to be a long print to print them out, but I'm going to use the O2 nozzle and have the thinnest lines that I can, and on the best or the best print setting, so the lines the finest they can be. So it's going to take a really long time to print, but I'll do that when I'm ready, when I've got this down. One of the other things I've kind of forgotten here, and why there's a wire that goes over top of here, is because I forgot a hole that needs to go in there. So a couple things I have to get back to and tweak, and the ladder bit is just destroying me. The ladders, I can't get them that small and that thin to work right, so I'm just going to have to add ladders as a detail. So I already have on here, I think I have a washer or two to get them even anyway, so I can add additional. Just got to make sure they're, NMRA compliant and all of that. So I bought at a train show, somebody had like a box of the two, like what are they, 015 and 010 something or other. Where are those? What did I do with those crazy things? A ginormous box of them, and for like $1 or $2 on a table. Anyway, and so I have tons of them, and so I'll be able to get it right. So it's for your own sake. Okay. We have neighbors that have raised 3 kids in the same setup as we have, and it's tiny. I can't imagine having 3 kids in there, so I get you on that. I'll have to get more. I'll have to figure that out. I modified the bolsters on here from the original design because it was too. I don't know how they did it, how it comes out in styrene. I had trouble with it in styrene when I built the flat car. That got me, and so I built that one out a bit, and so I've been building that out more and more. So that's when I came up with these right here, much thicker. And this is the coil car, much thicker and able to handle the screws that are needed for that. Yeah, is he printing like well, first of all, what kind of printer is it? Is there whole communities that like Prusa has printables, A1 Bamboo has their maker world, where there's lots of prints out there. And if anybody's interested in having 3D printing done for their layout, and they have a printer, but maybe they're not designing and they want stuff for their layout, there's a guy by the name of Kim Rumble, and he goes by what is it, Cab Rumble on Thingiverse. All his stuff is free. He has just amazing prints. He basically has redesigned Walther's Merchant's Row, and he's got sets of like 3 buildings, and they're fantastic. And they print well. The only one I had a problem with but that was my own printing errors or my own issues with the printer setup. But if anybody wants stuff to put together, and has access to a printer and get the files off Thingiverse, and it's not just buildings. He has tons of stuff he puts out there, and there are other great modelers out there. And I can't remember. I'd have to look it up, but I didn't print the car from this guy. No, I'm sorry. I printed the car from this guy completely at one point. But I just go back and print these because he has them as a separate file. I just print these trucks. I print 20 at a time, so they have them for cars. So, yeah. So, that's the goal, is to I have tons of other models that I'm working on for 3D printing, but I'm also doing they're not modern anymore, but 80s and 90s. I'm doing the comic car on the Northeast Quarter for Amtrak used them, New Jersey Transit used them, modeling New Jersey Transit. I basically have a ton of quarter done models. Here is the shell for a draft version of the shell for the Horizon car that I designed and printed. For motive power, I'm also designing with 3D printing. And so here's a model. This is obviously the Boston T, their transportation system, but it was used by Amtrak as well. And so here is my first attempted design, or well, that's not true. It's probably a third or fourth attempt. So it's okay. Ranting is okay on this episode. Because this was about rants that I had, and I'm sure you'd rather me not rant. So it's okay to rant here. Here is another one, and I did paint this one. One day it was blue, and I was sick of looking at the blue because these vehicles are yellow mostly. But this is the start of a catenary maintenance vehicle, and so I'm going to motorize this as one of my motive power vehicles. I'm hoping that this will be another one of my motorized for AP credit. Here's a slightly better version of the car, and here's one of the Horizon models from Walthers, and that's me. This doesn't have the Horizon model that this doesn't have the center door, but for my era, and my car type, I need the center door. So that was me cutting out the center door, and then I haven't sanded this down yet. But this is the 3D printed version that I designed. You can see it's not. There's some issues. They're harder to see here. I think here's one when we talked about supports earlier. Here's one where you need supports in these, and I have to find a different way to set this because these doors came out perfect, right? And then the side that was down has that little tiny raised area, and so that has supports in there or no supports, and it comes out all janky like that. You can tell I used glue on this on the build plate because it picked up some glue, and from handling it, this separated a little bit, but a close approximation of that. And then I'm trying to fully print. I'm trying to fully print the underside. I've run into some troubles. I've gotten close with it, but I've built these cars out, a couple of them with details that are 3D printed, with most of the detail. So here's a version that is mostly 3D printed and some problems with it that it had to fix. So this is 3D printed, all 3D printed, 3D printed, 3D printed, 3D printed, 3D printed, 3D printed details. This is that K&S music wire and there's like 4 pieces of styrene rod in here. The center sill is styrene on this one also, but the side supports here are 3D printed. And so some of the detail, and I was following an article of somebody who built this themselves, and you can see from handling, this is going to have to be repainted and everything. I have almost completed a cab car, which I'm going to redo the inside, I think, and make it. I didn't motorize. I put a decoder in it for sound. So I have one of the prints, Bob, from 3D printing from top side down. I have to work on the supports because the supports really muck up in here. So one of the things I'm trying to do is, if I'm using PLA, I'm trying to use PET G supports or vice versa, so that they don't melt together too much, and see if we can come up with that. So I haven't finished that up yet. Yeah, so I did a car topside down, and I ran into that. Is that one topside down? Can't remember which one it was. Yeah. Not sure which one it was, but I did try that, and so I'd have to work on the support piece of it. But again, you know, if you've been in the hobby long enough, you become like me, where you have a bunch of unfinished projects, and that's okay. But I do want to move along with my AP journey. I know I shouldn't worry about it too much, but I am worried about time. I'm working stiff, so that limits my time from from being able to work on it. Like some retired folks can spend hours on stuff, and family and all of those things. And, I'm somebody who struggles with age. I constantly think I have to get things done, that I'm running out of time to get things done. And it's morbid to think about, and it's not fun to think about. And it makes me want to rush things sometimes, which is ironic because I'm getting so much better at slowing my roll and slowing down when I'm modeling, and my models are coming out better. So, anyway, James, I use a Bamboo A1 printer, specifically because of its out of the box, ready to use. Ready to use, ready to go. Very little setup to do. Didn't have to be technical, and it could print right away. And learn settings later and everything. And I'm no expert on settings and everything, and I'm still working through that piece. The other reason for it is the I didn't need to start off in the hobby with this. I didn't need, exotic types of things with like nylon or PLA with wood in it and things like that. A1's the A1's an open printer, so you can't have stuff that is has fumes and things like that that are bad for you. And I don't have good ventilation in my house for something that needs more of that. And of course, during holiday time at the time, the price was also a factor and everything. And I don't regret it for a second. I know that there are some faster printers out there. Doesn't matter to me. I don't like long prints. I don't like how they can fail. When you're 2 seconds from them being done and things like that, and then spend all those hours. However, so the sweet spot for me is prints that are like 4 hours or less. Like I was saying with this one, I think when I printed this whole, and it was fine printing settings, it was like 9 hours to print. And that's why I say it'll be longer, even though they're separated out. I do a lot of prototyping, as you can see. So I do a lot of things in like draft and larger lines. And I first want to see that it works. So like I'm not going to sit here and waste filament or anything. So here's really one of the first prints I did for this. And it was a half a print. I wasn't going to print the whole thing. I was working on the basic shape with some details in here, but the rest of it was basic shape. That was details that I had to get right, down to here. You have these pieces inside that you have on the actual models, and you have curvatures, and you have the windows, and then all the curvatures in them, and all the sizes right, and the ledge here for that where the car connects. And everything. So, I do a lot of prototyping. So I end up using a lot of filament. And then I do it for household things, for tools. I have a whole setup over on my left side here that where I have something for all my tweezers and something to hang up tape, and where my glues are and my toothpicks are, and everything I use every day is right there. And I have a few other things out there that I've printed for the house that have been helpful, and things like that. So, and the A1's been a really solid printer for that. So that's the one I use. So yes, I moved from N scale to HO scale because I wanted to do more building. I found that in N scale, for me, it was more ready to run stuff and more of the scratch build stuff. When I had my N scale layout, the things I built were really on the layout. They weren't the buildings and things. I was buying those, maybe painting them. But as I get older, my eyes are getting worse, and my hands dexterity isn't as good. I find that I have to keep going bigger, and it scares me that I might have to join the S scale crew next, and I really don't want to do that. So yeah, I actually started thinking about and drawing up what the new layout will be for that. What I'm struggling with is how small the track would be for that scene. It would be different than the train table that I did. So, because it's going to be smaller, because it's going to fit under a bed for 1/12 scale. So, we're looking at 2.5 to 3 inches in width and up to 5 inches in length. And since the track is not something I designed, um, I'm not finding what I need. I can try to reduce the track pieces I have. So. And Bob, I think we were talking about it on the other live stream too. I also have a small tremor as well to deal with. That can be difficult. I just find my dexterity more than anything for me. Is more of a problem than the tremors even. Eyesight truly can be corrected through my trifocals that I have, plus I have the good old optivisor with multiple lenses. But and to be honest, I like seeing the detail. But and don't get me wrong, there's incredible detail in N scale, Z scale that people can do. That we have in the Twin Cities, we have a master model railroader who does everything in N scale, and his cars that he builds are phenomenal, and I just can't see me doing that. I feel you on the tools. If I with my grip on stuff, I have a harder grip. Certain tools, especially when like cutting styrene and stuff, my hands get very fatigued. So I understand that. And they get very painful when I'm trying to grip things. So I can definitely understand that. I have pre-diabetes. I don't have diabetes, but I do have that pain when I'm trying to do things like that. So, yeah, Mom, but the train table is much larger. Width and length is much larger than what would go under a bed, and that's what I'm struggling with. So, yeah. So it can be, yeah. I still hope you continue to model though, and find ways to do it, and find tools that you can use, if that's what you enjoy doing. I would strive. It would be me to strive to find things that I could do, or find tools that could help me do those things. But there are some limitations, or just limitations, and that's and that is what it is. Yeah. Bill, is it be as you get older, you shrink, right? Maybe he's small enough to work on the N scale. No, people can do it. So if he's still in here, Randy is a master N scale builder. He builds the tiniest stuff and just phenomenal work. He certainly has more patience than I do, and he's much more Um, he's much more methodical and just has the skills. It's pretty amazing. Proto 2000s usually look good. Um, so let's see. So my mom is a dollhouse miniature dealer, a fine dollhouse miniature dealer. So we're talking about, table, like a wooden table that was hand built for, that may cost $1,500 or something like that. She does a couple of shows, and she collects and sells other artists. Um, and That whole world's amazing too. You should see the clinics. When we talk about model railroading clinics, they charge hundreds of dollars for these clinics. And for this one show, which is an international show in Chicago, it's the time I go every year um, in April to Chicago land area, to meet up with my mom. And she brings all her stuff out there. It's an international show. It's the most well-known show in the world. And they have artists come in and do their clinics. And they're hundreds of dollars. They're all week long. Some of them are, 2 or 3 day clinics, and as part of the show experience. So to attract more, there's the crowds changing at these shows, and to attract more people to her booth, she had me design a model railroad train table. We bought a figure to go with it, and I bought a stand for the figure as a child, and I built up the whole thing, wiring underneath the layout, 3D printed, and then I sceniced it with a bunch of woodland scenic stuff and some other 3D printed buildings on there. And so and so she's having me do a different design. I did a display for her, so that it is like, they use room boxes a lot, and this is like a half a room box, but I 3D printed one and designed it for her, and easy to put together at the show and everything, where she can display a bunch of her stuff. So the next project she has is challenging me with is one where a child could be on the floor of their bedroom, playing with the train set, like on a board, like on a 4x8 board or whatever. A lot of people had them and they would slide them under their bed. So I'm trying to do one in a scale 1 to 12 scale is dollhouse scale. So I'm trying to do that. Hey, James, have a great night. Thank you for stopping in. I really appreciate it. Bob, have a good night. Thanks for the show. Absolutely. Happy to help with your build, and the airtime, and I hope you have great success with it, and I'll finish that up and put a video out and everything as well to promote it. So that it used to be in Schoenberg. Years ago it was in Schoenberg. It moved to the O'Hare Marriott quite a few years ago, but we used to hang out in that area for a weekend, my wife and I, during the show days. During the day when we weren't hanging out with my mom, we would go all around Schoenberg and the whole area. A great area out there. And so we're more towards we're blocks away from the Rosemont area, where the hotel is now. So interestingly enough, I go, you'll catch me on these rants, and I'll go on these rants and throw the show off. Here, I planned a show to rant, and we didn't really rant that much. I just threw it out there and everything. And I guess those are very recognizable arguments that we've all had about the hobby and about different parts of the hobby and everything. So debate is good, and rants are good every once in a while. I appreciate everybody hanging out. We went quite a distance tonight. But I have some errands to run tomorrow, and I know everybody else. I know this runs late anyway with the late start. So I will wish everybody a really good weekend, and remember to just jump in and have a great one. Thank you for hanging out with me for the last hour and 40 minutes. Have a good night, everybody.